everyone. Welcome to today's Knowledge webinar, AI-powered interior design with D5 Render and SketchUp. In this session, we'll demonstrate how to harness the seamless interoperability between SketchUp and D5 Render to complete an interior design project. Using a real project example, we will showcase how to adjust materials, furnish the room, and manage resources efficiently. Attendees will also learn to light interior scenes, and we'll dive into advanced techniques for achieving realistic materials with features like AI Enhancer, and you'll elevate your designs with lifelike visualization and perfect lighting setup. And by we, I mean Jeff Espinoza, today's presenter, who is the Customer Success Manager at D5 Render. He has a background in digital design and a strong foundation in architectural design. He applies architecture principles to all aspects of his work. As a Customer Success Manager, he is dedicated to ensuring users have the best possible experience with the software. And now let me show you where you can find D5 Render on our catalog. Just go to knowledge.com and search for D5 Render. You will find the different type of subscription pricing. And if you have questions, you can find your phone number at the top of every page, and you can call us and ask our expert. Knowledge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering more choices, more freedom, best advice, and faster service. Check us out at knowledge.com. And now, Jeff, the stage is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Barbara, for that introduction. So yes, today I'll be talking to you guys briefly about D5 Render and some of its capabilities and how it can make your workflow a lot easier, a lot more enjoyable when working with interior renderings and working with our SketchUp plugin. So today we'll again just do some brief introductions, talk about some of the top workflow features for interior designers, maybe what some of those pain points are and how D5 Render goes about solving them. And then a main portion of today's webinar will be mainly the live demo. And then finally, we'll leave some time at the end for just a Q&A, open it up to the floor in case there are any lingering questions. So what is D5? D5 Render is a standalone visualization engine, and we're the first visualization engine to incorporate AI features. And so since we are a standalone software, what we do is we provide you with a bunch of different plugin tools for your preferred modeling software, whether it be Revit, 3ds Max, SketchUp, Rhino, or any other ones that you see right here in the bottom screen. And our main priority is to make sure that you get the perfect balance between speed and quality. We want to make sure that you're achieving the best visuals possible in the shortest amount of time possible. We're a top choice for industry-leading firms. So a lot of the top firms have taken to adopting D5 Render and increasing in their workflow. And we have been rated as the best architectural rendering software by G2. So here are just a few of the results that you can come to expect from D5 Render. And so since this webinar will mainly cover interior views, here you can see some of the examples, but that isn't to say that we're mainly an interiors renderer. We're pretty well adept at handling many types of different scenes, whether it be the interior shots you're seeing here, or an architectural project, as well as something as large as like a main urban scale project. Again, here's just some more interior shots. And so if you'll take a look at the right image, you'll see that we've added some particle systems, which we can cover during this webinar, which, you can add some more interactive elements like water features, fire, if you have like a fireplace in your scene. So a lot of unique elements that you can take from our asset library and incorporate into your D5 Render scene. And so again, here's just another interior view. So there's another one of those particle systems I was talking about in the back. So yeah, when it comes to interiors, We offer you photorealistic PBR materials, which you can find in our asset library, as well as start to create your own utilizing some of our AI features. We offer one-click texture map import, automatic texture map generation, make seamless upscaling with AI capabilities, as well as multimedia material to display video and images textures. We offer amazing interior lighting by default, LifeSync with modeling softwares to edit your view and design while you're rendering in real time. So what that means is that you can have, if you have dual monitors, you can have your main modeling tool on one screen, D5 Render on another, and you can start to make any modeling changes in your modeling tool and see them in this photorealistic viewport in D5 Render and have those modeling changes appear in real time. We also have quite an extensive asset library. So we have over 3,000 different interior models out of our 14,000 different assets overall. So our asset library will include foliage, characters, and that'll all of that will build up our 14,000 different like asset library, but we do have over 3,000 specific interior models. And as I mentioned, we have animated fire and smoke for particle systems for engaging walkthroughs. So here we'll start to talk about some of the pain points that interior designers might face, or some of the reasons why they love to use D5 Render for their interior renderings. So we offer realistic light and shadow. So D5 Render is a real-time ray tracing engine. So you can rest assured that all of the light calculations that you have in your scene are pretty accurate in terms of like how they would work in the real world. We also have emissive material lighting. So if you have any complicated like cove lights or anything like that, rather than fussing and trying to like add plain lights everywhere, what you can do is just create or model out a mesh in your modeling tool and then apply an emissive material light. So that'll hopefully help alleviate having to create these complicating lighting schemes. We have an abundant asset library. So as you can see here, these are the 4,000 different indoor assets I was referring to. But if you'll take a look at just like in our overall asset library, we have close to 11,000 different 3D models in our asset library, as well as different materials, particle systems, scatter features, all of which make up our 14,000 plus asset library. And so here we have our materials library. So you can just click on the material you like and then click on the surface to apply that texture to. So it's pretty easy to start to build up your scene with all these different textures and assets for your interior scenes. So here's again like how easy it is to place assets into your scenes and make them come to life, make them look full. And besides still renderings, we also have a bunch of different animation tools and other ways for you to showcase your work. So here is our 360 auto tour feature. So as you can see, users can start to create these guided tours, view them in 360 space, and then share these out as links to different clients or pull them out on site visits. So that takes us to the live demo portion of this webinar. So I'll just go ahead and minimize my screen. And before we jump into D5 Render, I just again want to reiterate that in order to have D5 Render work with your preferred modeling tool, you'll just head over to our website, go into downloads, and here you can download D5 Render. But if you keep scrolling down, here's where you'll find the different plugins for your preferred modeling tool. So here we have SketchUp for LiveSync for SketchUp. So I'll just go ahead and download it. Once it's downloaded, it'll appear here in our extensions tab, and I can go into D5 LiveSync and connect to D5. And that'll automatically start to import all our model and material data. So if I go ahead and hit extensions, you'll notice that we also have the ability to add lights or D5 Render lights straight into SketchUp and add those into our D5 Render scene. So here I'll just minimize SketchUp so we can take a look at our D5 render scene. So yeah, as you can see, any camera views or edits that I make in SketchUp will automatically be reflected in D5 render. And that's also true for any modeling changes that I do in SketchUp. So if I go in here and make any extrusions or modeling changes in my SketchUp model, you can see them in real time in D5 render. And one of the main benefits of using SketchUp with D5 render is that D5 render is pretty well equipped at handling complex geometry. And so what that means is that you don't have to sort of slow down your SketchUp model with all these like warehouse assets that you might have found. You can just leave the asset placement for D5 render to handle. So again, in order to emphasize that point, we can go into, let's see, I'll go into view and toolbars, or sorry, I'll go into Windows and show my tray here. So I'll just open it up, and then here I'll turn on my hidden layer, and in my hidden layer I have these chairs. So now what I can do is I can select these chairs, group them, go back into my D5 render plugin and hit export. And then I'll do select only, and I'll keep the group structure info the same. So I'll keep it at 2 layers and I'll hit export. And now I can jump into D5 render. And so for instance, I'll just make sure to jump back into SketchUp and hide this layer. So now what I can do is I can go into import. I can go to where I saved that that chair export. And import them into my scene. So they'll show up here in my imports tab. So now I can drag them into my scene here. And I'll just click on this icon. Oh, sorry. Let's see here. Oh, sorry, wrong folder. Here we go. This is it, chairs. So yeah, I'll bring those chairs over to my imported tab and they'll show up here momentarily. And now I can bring them into my scene. Again, I'll just click on this icon in order to drag them into the exact same location as my SketchUp model. And so again, these could have been some low poly assets that I've had in my SketchUp model just as placeholders. Go into objects, go into chairs, expand this group. And now I can select them all, right click and do a replace from assets, hit confirm. And now I can swap them out with one of our high quality D5 render assets. As you can see here. And I'll just go ahead and rotate them and drop vertically. So as you can see here, that's how you can sort of create this pretty generic furniture layout plan in SketchUp and then bring them into D5 render and start to swap them out with some of our high quality assets. And you might need to do some tweaking in terms of the orientation depending on how they were placed in SketchUp. But once that's done, again, you won't have to worry about slowing down your SketchUp model with a bunch of complicated furniture geometry. You can just let D5 render handle that. And so moving on to actually developing your interior scene, we can jump into our interior view. So here is our interior view. And before you start adding assets and materials, I think the first thing you'll probably want to do is start to play around with your lighting. So again, we make it pretty simple for you to add your lights straight from D5 render. But straight from SketchUp, but we also make it easy to add lights straight from D5 Render. So one of the first things you'll probably want to do is just add your overall exterior light. So what I can do is go back to that initial view, click on this icon for AI atmosphere match. And now I can import a reference image that I might have found online or that another designer in my studio has designed already. So I'll take a screenshot of that, or sorry, I'll upload a reference image and then I'll take a screenshot of my current viewport and then I'll hit start generating. So what this AI atmosphere match is really doing is it's going ahead and changing all the parameters in my environments and effects tab. So it's really just affecting the overall lighting scheme. And again, like this is something that you might have done in the past pretty manually. You would have like had to tweak your camera settings, your exposures, your like light intensity, color values. And so now it's just a one-click solution and all those effects will take, they'll all be manipulated by our AI filter. So as you can see, it went ahead and tried its best to match the color values of this reference image. And so since it went ahead and actually played around with all these different settings, I can always go back in here and fine tune them a little bit, increase the intensity of this color grading. And once I'm happy with the results, I'll just go ahead and save this out as a new scene. And I can actually create a preset. And so now that I've created this preset, it'll be saved to my team space here. And so now I can actually go in here and start to play around with all the different presets I've made in the past and apply them to my scene here. Or I can go into D5 Curated and start to apply all these other presets as well. So again, I'm just testing to see which one works best for my scene. And once I'm happy with the results, then I can start to play around and start to add all these other interior lights into my scene. So if you go into add lights, here is where we have all the different light types that you can use. And if you're working with interior scenes, you'll probably be using the spotlight the most. So you can just add a light into your scene. And then from here, you can start to play around with the intensity values. And we max out at 300, but you can always change these values individually, as you see here, or manually. And then you have different IES profiles that you can play with. And of course, you can start to add your own. And then typically for interior renderings, we'll probably change this color temperature to 4500 just to get that warm interior light. So you'll probably be using spotlights as well as these strip lights. So you can add these guys into different cove lights in here. And so in order to adjust the scale, just hit V, and then you can start to adjust the length of them in order to fit the cove light. But if you don't want to add all these lights in here manually, the other thing you can do is if I go ahead and hide all the lights in my scene, I can create planes, as I was saying earlier in that presentation. And so for instance, here we have these different planes, and now I can hit the I key in order to select that plane and adjust the material. And now all I need to do is scroll down here and turn on emissive. So here we can play around with the different intensity values as well as the color temperature. So that's how you can go about quickly editing your interior lights. One of the other last tidbits about lights is that you can also group these guys. So for instance, here I have a light group. And rather than changing the values of them individually, I'll just put them in a group. And now I can adjust the color values or the intensities wholesale. And so moving on to material adjustments, you can, of course, utilize our asset library in order to start to texturize your scene. So you can go into material, and I'll just type in wood. and I'll apply it to this bookcase here. And now I can go ahead and rotate this texture. Maybe I'll do triplanar. And then I can, of course, adjust the scale of this. But let's say you already had some textures downloaded from a third-party website. You can always go to your floor here and you can click on this batch import. And so from here, I'll just select all the different texture maps and hit open, hit continue, and it'll automatically apply them to the proper channels here. And I'll just go ahead and scale this up. And so as you can see here, went ahead and applied that texture. And then lastly, you can also start to create your own materials. So for instance, I can go into, let's say, this couch here. I'll hit I. And now I can go ahead and import my base image. So I'll do this fabric here. And I'll just scale this for now. That's the first thing I'll do. And so from here, we have quite a few different options. So if this texture wasn't tileable, I can always hit make seamless in order to get rid of any seams. And again, if this were a low quality texture that I found online, I can always hit Ultra HD textures in order to upscale this. So since this seems to be pretty good quality as well as already being seamless, I'll just go ahead and hit AI generated texture maps. And this will actually go ahead and create my normals, roughness, and my AO channels in order to make this look as photorealistic as possible, as you can see here. So maybe I'll go ahead and play around with the AOs now that I have this channel in here. And I'll even increase the scale a bit more. And so now that I have this texture created, maybe I'll just darken it a little bit more as well. I can always come up here and save this to my library. So I'll just add to local library. And now this custom material is now in my local library, and I can use it on other projects if I wanted to, or share with other team members. And so just to highlight some of the AI features again for like custom material creation, maybe I can come in here and get rid of this texture. And I'll just upload, let's see here, this wood texture. So as you can see here, it's pretty low quality and it's not tileable since it has this seam right here. Even if I scale it up, you'll notice that those seams start to repeat. So I can always come up here, do make seamless, and it'll automatically go ahead and blur these edges for me. So I no longer have to take it to any third-party software. I can just do that straight from D5 Render. As you can see here, it got rid of those lines. And again, I can always upscale it by a factor of 2 by using this Ultra HD texture and hitting confirm. So, it's one thing to have like these pretty visuals here, but I think the other thing is how do you actually export this out and get this in front of the client's eyes. So we offer quite a few different options. So with D5 Render, you can render out still images, you can render out panoramas, as well as different animations and other art export settings. So during this webinar, we'll cover exporting still images as well as videos. So in order to export this as an image, you'll just come up here. And then you have quite a few different options down here. You can go into image, panorama, and then you have a bunch of different aspect ratios and size presets. And if you want to take this into post-production, you can always select this icon here. And here you can enable quite a few different channels in order to export these out and bring them into any post-processing software. And then we also provide you the ability to create animations. So the idea here is pretty simple. You'll just create a new clip, and then from here you can go into your starting location, and we want to make animation creation as simple as possible. So you can always go into template and hit something like a horizontal pull, and it'll apply that camera path to your scene here. So you can hit play. And as you can see here, it might go back a bit too much. So I'll just select this again, and I'll select 50 as the distance covered. And then I can also change the duration time. So again, the idea here is that you really just need to go from starting location to starting location, and then just select a template preset. And then maybe, yes, you might have to adjust it a little bit, but using this workflow, you should be able to create something that's pretty cinematic and ready to be rendered out and presented to the client. And so some additional tips and tricks I wanted to cover are actually like camera placement, as well as some of the settings you can play with in order to create those image exports. So in order to save a camera location, what you can do is you can just go into your starting point here. And then from here, you can even go up to camera, and you can select depth of field, and then you can set the focus. So I'll set the focus to this sculpture piece here. And here we can start to play around with the focal length. And one other trick I like to add is going into effects and scrolling down to AO. So as you can see here, it'll turn my image into black and white, and I can play around with the radius, and it'll sort of enhance the shadows. But what I can do is I can do AO overlay in preview. And as you can see here, you can start to play around with the shadows in my scene, and that'll actually create a sense of depth for your interior renderings, as you can see here. And then once you're happy with this camera angle and this camera location, you can save this out into your scene list, and it should show up at the bottom of your scene. And then if at any time you want to update this, you can just go ahead and change your camera location. So I'll just change my camera speed to 2 so I can fine tune this a little bit more. And then I can go ahead and update this. And if I want to change any of the camera parameters, I can always click on this icon here in order to bring up my camera settings. So from here, I can play around with the field of view, as well as any camera clipping that I might want to do, as you can see in this bottom preview here. Or actually, I'll just click on this icon in order to make it my main view. And again, once we're happy with the results, I can always go ahead and save that out. So those changes have already been made. Another feature I wanted to cover is, if you'll notice, we do have a video playing right here in the background. So that's the other thing about D5 Render, is that we provide you with a bunch of different material templates. So for instance, if I go in here, you'll notice that this material template is set to multimedia, which allows me to create a video as a material. But if you drop this down, you'll see that we have a bunch of different templates for material creation. So for instance, if you click on this glass here, you'll see that this is a transparent material template. And so you can always go ahead and add thickness in order to get more accurate reflections. So again, those are just some tips and tricks that I utilize in just my daily workflow in order to make this look as photorealistic as possible. But one of the main tricks that I tend to use in order to get to that next level of photorealism is this AI enhancer. So once you've gone ahead and rendered out your images, they'll show up over here in my render queue, and then I can go into history, and all my rendered images will show up here. And if you'll notice, as I hover over them, I get this purple icon. So all I need to do is just click AI enhancer, which will bring up my enhancement window. And from here, we have quite a few options. We can do specified partition. So I can choose to enhance specific areas of my image, or I can do a weak, normal, or strong intensity value and upscale or enhance my whole image. So I'll just go into my exports folder so we can take a look at some of those AI enhancements. And I'll just open up another camera view or another folder in the background. So for instance, this would be a medium enhancement. So this is the base rendering. And if we apply a medium enhancement, you'll notice that it went ahead and added some more details to my textures, my reflections, as well as my cove lights up here. So this is before and after. Again, this is the base rendering, and then this will be the AI enhancement. So you can really see the enhancement do its job with the reflections here in my scene. And I think where this AI enhancement feature really shines is when it comes to character assets. So for instance, here is an exterior rendering that I've done. And as you can see here, the 3D characters look like 3D characters. You know, they have that uncanny valley look to them. So if I add my AI enhancement, they'll start to look more like PNG cutouts. And so that's the low enhancement, medium, and high. And this is again what I was referring to with the partition selection. So you can choose to only enhance certain elements in your scene. So in this case, I'm only enhancing my 3D characters, and everything else is remaining the same. And so that's how you can start to, again, manipulate your scene and take it to that next level of photorealism. And so since you are joining me in this webinar, I also wanted to show you a sneak peek of what our 2.9 update's gonna come with later this month. So we will be introducing this new feature called AI Late Stage, which will, again, offer you a one-click solution in order to alter your images. So what I mean by that is that you'll be able to get more stylized looks for your renderings. So for instance, this is our watercolor look, as well as some pencil drawings and marker renderings. So again, this will be coming out in 2.9. And the goal with this is that, you know, you can, rather than presenting clients with these polished renderings, you can present them something like this, which is more conceptual, so that clients aren't too hung up on like the fine-tuned details, and they can just get an overall sense of what the design concept is. So again, those are just some of the main features and workflows when it comes to SketchUp to D5 Render for interior scenes specifically. One of the other features that we have here in order to present your renderings to your clients is this auto tour feature. So you can just click on this icon and hit create and then edit. And then from here, you can add a position, and you're essentially just going from hotspot to hotspot. And you can add another position and again create another position. And so for each position that you create, D5 Render will create a 360 panel image, and upload it as a URL link so that you can present it to clients. So I can go ahead and select this icon here, or this URL link. So as you can see here, it's creating a URL link and loading my project. So now you can share this with a client or have this on a site visit. So I think that covers the overall workflow from SketchUp to D5 Render. We also have our Scene Express. So if you go into our website, you can go to Resources and Scene Express. So if you're really interested in learning D5 and picking it up quickly, if you go into Scene Express, here we have a whole bunch of different scenes that you can download and open up in D5 Render. And this is a great resource because it sometimes provides you with the actual 3D model. And so you can start to see how designers created their materials, as well as set up lights and some of the, you can sort of decipher the workflows and approaches that they took in order to create these different types of scenes. And then of course, you can always add some of the assets that they have in here into your own personal library. So yeah, I think this is a great resource. I'm always using it as well. And so with that being said, I'd like to open up the floor. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask them at this time. And also, if you want, you can also go ahead and scan this QR code, which will give you access to a free D5 Render Pro trial. So with the Pro trial, you'll have complete access to all our different assets, as well as all our different AI features. So again, if there are any questions at this time, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Great tips. And I urge everybody to download the free trial because, as Jeff said, D5 Render works with not just SketchUp, Rhino, Revit, right? What else, Jeff? I think that.
Yeah, we have a ton of support for your preferred modeling tools. So SketchUp, 3ds Max, Rhino, Revit, ArchiCAD, all the ones you're seeing here.
That's fantastic. And by the way, we sell most of those soft products. So, come get D5 Render and a companion SketchUp or Revit or Cinema 4D. We have it all. And while we wait for questions, I want to show again everybody where they can find D5 Render on our website. Just go to novaggi.com and search for D5 Render. You can see what kind of type of subscription you would like to get, and you can talk to our expert. If you have any questions about compatibility, about trial type of support, we're here for you. Jeff, I don't see question. You gave us really great tips and showed us incredible images. I'm tempted to download it myself just for fun. So again, Novaggi is changing the way designers purchase 3D software because we don't only have, D5 Render, we have all the companion software you can use it with. It's a one-stop shop, and we have, we're here to assist you anytime. Thanks again for joining us today, Jeff. That was awesome, and looking forward to more D5 Render presentations. Have a great rest of the day, everybody, and thank you again, Jeff.
Awesome, thank you, my pleasure. And yes, please go ahead and sign up for that free trial. And yeah, go ahead and download D5 Render. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, bye-bye.
All right, take care, everyone.